The boarding gates buzzed with the usual mix of excitement and impatience. Families clutched passports, business travelers balanced laptops with coffee cups, and flight attendants greeted passengers with rehearsed but polite smiles. As the line inched forward, a young black woman named Naomi stepped onto the plane. Dressed neatly in a modest blouse and jeans, she carried only a leather satchel and a paperback book. Her eyes reflected quiet confidence, though her long day of travel had left her weary. Naomi's seat assignment was 12B, a middle seat in the economy cabin. She tucked her bag under the seat and slid into her spot, nodding courteously at the man by the window, who offered her a neutral smile. The aisle seat, however, remained empty. Moments later, a middle-aged white man boarded, his briefcase in one hand and his phone pressed to his ear. He looked sharp in his tailored suit, but his expression was one of irritation, as though every step was a personal inconvenience. When he reached row 12, he glanced at his boarding pass, then at Naomi. His face tightened. Without sitting down, he turned to the flight attendant. "There must be some mistake," he said loudly enough for nearby passengers to hear. "I'm not sitting here." The attendant, a young woman with practiced patience, checked his ticket. "Sir, you're assigned to 12C, the aisle seat." "I know what it says," he snapped. His eyes flicked toward Naomi. "But I can't sit here. Find me another seat." The words landed like a slap. Naomi froze, her fingers tightening around the edges of her book. She had faced prejudice before, but each instance stung as though it were the first time. The other passengers shifted uncomfortably, pretending not to hear, though the tension was impossible to ignore. The man's tone left no doubt. His refusal had nothing to do with legroom or comfort. "Sir," the attendant began carefully, "the flight is full. We'll do our best to accommodate requests," but he cut her off with a sharp wave of his hand. "I don't care if it's full. I will not sit here." Naomi felt her cheeks burn, though she kept her chin lifted. She wanted to vanish, to melt into the seat cushion, but she also knew that silence would give his prejudice power. Still, she said nothing, unwilling to cause a scene. The attendant shifted nervously, unsure how to de-escalate. Minutes passed. Boarding slowed as the altercation blocked the aisle. The murmurs grew louder. Some passengers looked at Naomi with sympathy, others with quiet judgment, but no one intervened. The man's voice only grew more insistent. "I paid good money for this ticket. I deserve better than this." At that moment, the captain himself, a tall, composed figure in uniform, stepped into the cabin. His voice was calm but carried authority. "Is there a problem here?" The man straightened, confident that the captain would take his side. "Yes, I've been assigned to sit here, but I refuse. Move me to another seat immediately." The captain's eyes flicked from a man to Naomi, who sat silently, her dignity intact despite the humiliation. A long pause followed, heavy with expectation. Everyone waited for the captain to choose a side. What the man didn't know was that the captain had already made his decision, and it was one that would shock every passenger on board. The captain's face remained unreadable for a moment longer. Then he took a slow breath, his voice calm yet firm. "Sir, I understand you're uncomfortable, but discrimination has no place on this aircraft. Every passenger deserves respect." The man's confidence faltered slightly. "So, what are you saying? You expect me to sit here?" The captain nodded. "Yes, that is your assigned seat." His tone sharpened. "However, if you feel you cannot sit beside this passenger, we will need to make arrangements." The man smirked, certain he was about to be upgraded. "Finally, that's more like it." But the captain's next words silenced the entire cabin. "Then you will be removed from this flight." Gasps rippled through the rows. Naomi's heart thudded. The man's smirk vanished. "Removed? Are you serious?" "Very serious," the captain replied. "We don't reward disrespect with special treatment. You have two choices: take your seat or leave the aircraft." The man's face flushed crimson. He sputtered, searching for words, but the captain's expression remained unwavering. The flight attendant stepped closer, arms folded, reinforcing the captain's authority. Around them, Passengers began nodding, whispering words of agreement. "You can't do this," the man barked. "I'm a paying customer." "And so is she," the captain countered, gesturing toward Naomi. "Her money is worth the same as yours. Her dignity is worth more than your arrogance. This airline stands for equality. If that bothers you, sir, you're free to find another carrier." The weight of the moment pressed down. The man looked around for support, but all he saw were disapproving eyes. Finally, with a huff of outrage, he grabbed his bag from the overhead bin and stormed down the aisle. The cabin erupted in quiet applause, soft at first, then louder as passengers celebrated the captain's stand. Naomi sat motionless, her eyes wide with shock. She had braced herself for humiliation, but instead, she had been defended with courage and clarity. For the first time in a long while, she felt seen, not as someone to be dismissed or devalued, but as someone whose worth demanded respect. The captain leaned down slightly. "Miss, I apologize for what just happened. You did nothing wrong. Please know you are welcome here." Her throat tightened, but she managed a soft, "Thank you." As the captain returned to the cockpit, Naomi exhaled deeply, her hands trembling as she picked up her book again. Around her, passengers smiled warmly, some offering words of encouragement. Even the man in the window's seat leaned closer and said quietly, "You handled that with grace. Don't let people like him steal your peace." The rest of the flight passed uneventfully, but the moment lingered in every heart aboard. For Naomi, it was a reminder that sometimes justice arrives when least expected, and that dignity, once defended, shines brighter than prejudice ever could. And for the passengers who had witnessed it all, the captain's words became a story they would never forget. That respect has no seat assignment, and equality always deserves a first-class defense.